Well, I'm talking to the Chief Forester, Kevin Groom, and it's really about the TT and the changes. It came up in conversation the other day when we were filming one of your trucks going under Braddon Bridge. This in itself is new because you'd normally have units within the TT to be ready. This news is that you don't have that anymore. What else is changing because of I presume these are cutbacks, are they?
Right, first and foremost, Paul, this is my 32nd TT, and I've seen a number of changes throughout our operational requirements over the last 32 years. This year has brought some significant changes to how we're actually going to provide our resources across the island when the roads are shut for both practicing and racing. Previously, we used to have a fire appliance inside the TT course that used to cover all the risks within the course that it could reach by metal roads. This year, you're quite right in saying that due to the financial position that not just ourselves but all of Isle of Man government find themselves in, we've had to make some very critical decisions, and one of these decisions is that there will not be a fire engine inside the TT course when the roads are shut for practicing or racing. What we now have to do is we have to place a heavy reliance along using the access road, and you put some footage on yesterday on
we're running it again now, I think,
which will be good, and that is very critical. That if that road which we place a heavy reliance upon becomes blocked or obstructed, or there's a vehicle breakdown, then my officer, who will be working alongside the clerk of the course, Mr. Guy Thompson, for the fortnight, will be placing a hand on his shoulder and saying you're going to have to immediately stop the practice or the race to allow a fire engine to either use the course to access it to the inside, or indeed if we have an incident on the TT course itself. So that is a significant change for us. And
you've got that okay from them already? I mean, that's in place, is it? You literally can pick the phone up and the races or the practice will have to stop so you can get access?
Very much so. It's not a case of picking the phone up. We position a senior officer in the control tower to work along with the clerk of the course, Mr. Guy Thompson, and we do place an officer in the emergency services joint control room to gather that initial information about what type of incident that we will be dealing with. As you can imagine, we have a service order that's reviewed yearly, and we also work with our other partners within government to ensure that if we need to use the access road, Department of Infrastructure people know there's a fire engine coming through. We obviously have to liaise very closely with the ambulance service as well, who has priority coming in and out. So logistically, we have to be very, very aware of what this means. And I think it's right that the public are very much aware of what this means to them.
Because I mean, there's a lot of traffic on that road anyway. I mean, with the lights and everything, you could be waiting just a couple of minutes. That'd be too long, would it? You would just say, no, we're going to go across the course, we need to stop.
That's what the officer in the joint control room and obviously in the control tower, they'll make that determination very quickly, because our job is obviously to minimise the risks to the public and indeed provide a service to the public, because what we want to do is have a timely response. But what the message I'm putting out here today is that that fire engine is no longer inside the TT course.
You have a presence at the grandstand. We've seen that from many times in the past. Is that been affected also with your cuts?
No, fortunately, we provide a fire crew under the terms and conditions of the petroleum licence that's issued by the Office of Fair Trading. That crew is provided, obviously due to the amount of fuel that is there, the risks that are apparent in affectionately known as Gasoline Alley, but we also provide a presence to the grandstand area and the areas behind it, so we can deal with perhaps some minor incidents as and when they occur. And I think it's a great public presence to have. There's that reassurance, which obviously is captured both nationally and globally, that the Isle of Man Fire and Rescue Service officers are there supporting this safe event, which will hopefully take place over the next fortnight.
The Chief Constable kind of touched on this last week about him having to withdraw his services slightly from the TT. This is the same sort of thing that's come out of your department, and this is before the next round of cuts, right?
Very much so, and this is a clear message coming from myself as the Chief Forester. This is what I believe, the green shoots of the challenges that are facing both the Department of Home Affairs and also the Isle of Man government. Service delivery will start to change. It will have to change, because the budget provision is reducing year on year. We have to make some very, very tough decisions, and it's very challenging because the public expectation is that they expect a good service. And certainly now we have to look at everything we do, why we're doing it, can we do it differently to be able to maintain a delivery of service to the community of the island. Really difficult times this, Paul. I can't be any stronger in my views at this time over that.
I mean, putting it into layman's terms, everyone remembers Summerland as one of those things where every pump, everyone was having to go there. Would that be the sort of line in the sand that you just cannot allow the Minister of Home Affairs to cut your budgets any further than that? You know, Joe Morrison can't go below a certain level, or is that what you're fighting against?
As the Chief Officer, I'm fighting against a point that I believe we've reached now, and that point is that I don't want to see fire stations being closed, and I don't want to see significant numbers of my staff not being available to me. Now, whether that's through a natural process or indeed a redundancy progress, as a Chief Officer, I'm doing my best, and every day is a challenge to be able to maintain what we're doing and why we're doing it. I believe the Fire and Rescue Service are a very highly regarded universal service. We do an immense amount of work in terms of prevention work, fire safety prevention work, and we've done that on the lead up to the TT. Our officers have been out inspecting hotels, sleeping risks, entertainment premises, temporary marquees, licensed premises. We've been out there, we're on the foot, because what we're trying to do is to ensure, as far as practically possible, the safety of the people who are now coming to visit the island. They don't just live here, they don't just work here, but we've got potentially 40,000 people coming to the island over the next fortnight, over 11,000 motorcycles, and I totally agree with the Chief Constable's view about this, where he's putting his resources into road safety through the road policing unit. Really good. But there comes a time where something has got to give.
And it's interesting that we've seen these pictures of all the fires you go to. I mean, this is what people's perception is, isn't it? That is what you do. And yet, so much more of your time is obviously done on taking up with other things.
Yes, very much. You know, I always look at the badge that I wear proudly, you know, on my shirt, which is about the work we do in terms of prevention work, and that's across the community in terms of education, all the various school groups, the vulnerable person, which are, you know, a very sort of broad topic across the island at the moment. The protection work we do in terms of making buildings safer, working with architects and people in the private sector, and our highly admired response service, which I believe that the public of this island do deserve. But the clear message that I'm putting out here today is that I am being very, very severely challenged to maintain that delivery of service. So we have to look at everything we do, why we do it, can we do it differently? That's a big challenge. That is on the table right here, right now.
Because presumably, Jim Watts, like all other ministers, haven't got a ring fence to anything. Your budgets are not protected.
Absolutely, and the Chief Minister has come out on numerous occasions and said that no one is protected from this. But what I have to do as the Chief Officer is to look at all the options available to me and then come up with the low risk, the medium risk and the high risk options. But there will be changes to the Isle of Man Fire and Rescue Service. I can't say any more at this particular time, but I'm more than happy to come and talk again in the very near future.
So budgets are still being worked out then?
Absolutely, and our service delivery has been worked out. It's very fluid at the moment.
You look quite worried about it. I mean, obviously you are putting this message out into the public domain, which is interesting in itself, because I think the Chief Constable is doing the same thing, is it softening people up slightly for the fact that there are going to be changes ahead. But this sounds like more than just little bits. This could be quite a big game changer, yes?
This is reality. It really is. This is people lifting their heads out of the sand and thinking, this is what it actually means. As the Chief Officer, I've worked here for over 32 years. I've seen the good times, I've seen the not so good times. We are in critical times, and I've got to ensure that I can do the best that I possibly can to ensure the delivery of a fire and rescue service on the Isle of Man. And I can't be any clearer than that. I'm doing the best I can.